17.
17 billion beers, except I've only got one. This is a new episode of Radio Rothingham, the world's least professional podcast on the entire internet. We got a bunch
not the podcast you need, but the podcast you deserve.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we got a bunch of people here. They exist. They live on this planet, the same one that you live on. It is Herr Bakphoon.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest is best fest. We got Sekele.
Nazdar, kameradje.
And we got Xaverius.
Yes, all of those things. Also, there's a Oktoberfest in World of Warcraft
Sweet.
right now.
Wow. Much
Going
wow.
brew
Much
fest.
very beer. And we got Pemboy.
No.
I exist.
And we got your story, the Artrix. The sole reason the entire universe was created.
I apologize.
Yeah. I'm sorry that we had to create the entire universe so you could, share this existence with me. Yeah. Today I'll be drawing this. I'm not even going to bother remembering his name, but he's become a meme because he's got the longest neck. It's the Antifa professor that tried to justify Antifa, but instead of just drawing him like a person, I'm going to draw him like Pepe, because apparently Pepes are illegal now.
Well,
Again.
He sort of managed to justify punching Antifa people.
Hmm. So.
Because they're just as bad as Nazis, and you know that you can punch a Nazi.
At this point, I think they are actually worse.
Well, Nazis were also socialists that just had this whole racial purity shit going on. But in the end of the day...
Eventually, at the start it was more like Britain give money. Or rather, return the money you took. And the French too. Give us back the, what was it?
The reparations, as outlined in...
What was the area that France took name?
Normandy.
Alsace, something like that.
Alsace, yeah.
Alsace, yeah. So Germany's like, yeah, we want that, and we also want $1 million.
Which back then actually was a lot of money.
It was.
Well, it is still now.
No, it's a small loan now.
Mm. So you can buy a decently sized house for $1 million.
What do you think is more, $1 million or €1 trillion?
I'm pretty sure €1 trillion is more.
Mm.
Because apparently €1 trillion is what Germany owes to Poland in reparations, and it could be more.
Yes, indeed. I love that. Like Poland were like, hey, or the EU was like, hey, Poland, take in more immigrants, and Poland's like, hey, Germany, how about you pay for all that damage you did in World War II?
Didn't what's their face? Didn't Greece try the same stick where they're like, oh, by the way, you owe us war reparations.
Just deduct it from the debt you owe us.
Yeah.
Also in Poland, my Polish spy told me that apparently they took down some protected trees, and EU is like, Poland, stop. Poland, stop. Poland will make you pay. Poland, stop. And the Poland didn't stop, and now they are trying to deduct it from the reparations too. It's amazing.
So,
Basically, by the logic, they can now do anything as long as it adds up to $1 trillion.
Oh, that's great.
Hmm.
I gotta love Poland. Poland is the best EU state right now. We should all be like Poland.
Well, they are doing some interesting things, but they're also being a shit in the sense that they're kind of trying to establish a tyrannical government.
Oh, well,
So,
no.
well, yeah, they're like, hey, we want to expand our laws to grant us all these powers, and then the Poles are like, no. I mean,
Doing the same.
I mean, we don't like this policy that the EU is doing right now, but we don't really want to do it at the cost of losing our basic democratic rights.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being a contentious issue, all right.
Hmm. you know, where
Meanwhile, we want cheaper butter. Because butter is fucking expensive lately.
you actually noticed like a increase of butter prices recently?
Yes, by like 100%.
Wow. So yeah, just imagine you used to pay like $1.50 for your butter, now it's $3.
Well, it's simple. All we need to do is remove the quotas that Ireland is struggling under, and then you can get cheap butter because we can actually sell it again, rather than just being able to export Kerrygold. Because it seems Kerrygold is the only Irish butter brand you can get anywhere in Europe.
Okay, and now I'll probably have to go out of my way to see if we can actually find it, because as far as I know, I haven't seen it anywhere.
I've seen it while I was standing next to you, and I pointed it out.
Oh.
I'm just going to camp in front of Lidl and wait for them to have the Irish week, and then that's probably going to be some Irish butter, I'm sure.
I see Kerrygold every time I'm at a Lidl.
Indeed.
Any big grocery store.
Maybe they have permanent Irish week.
No, Kerrygold is available everywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
They even had an ad campaign about it. It was like this hiker gets like rescued from the side of a mountain up the Alps by some Swedish people, and they drag him home, and he's half dead, and they serve him breakfast, and he's like, oh, I'm so depressed and half dead, and oh my god, at least I've got Kerrygold.
No, I don't remember ever seeing this brand of butter.
I guess we don't get it. It gets eaten on the border.
Yeah, you guys aren't
Actually,
really
yes,
Europeans. You're Eastern Europe.
No, we are the Middle Europeans. Eastern is like Ukraine. Also, apparently the prices in butter went so high that there's been first cases of theft. Like some guy was working in a kitchen in a hotel, stole 5 kilos of the stuff.
Jesus Christ.
And then resold it.
It's a special day when you can say people are literally stealing butter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you get for living in EU.
So yeah, butter's gone expensive, but I suppose I don't think, you know, prices have actually gone up over here, but I don't know. Maybe this is one of those Czech things.
Yeah, maybe this is one of those non-EU core state things.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure your government is not just buying a ridiculous amount of butter for some alien reason?
No, that's what they did with euros.
Oh.
They're like, we need to keep our own currency down for reasons.
So they just bought all the euros, gave away the currency.
Yes,
Well,
like,
all that I know about butter
the currency is too strong, let's buy euros to devalue it. And then everybody hated them, obviously.
But what I know about butter is basically, like in the last few years, the milk farmers were complaining a lot that they're producing so much milk and the prices are falling so fast that they basically threw away a lot of the milk that they produce, like just, you know, put it on the fields or something to stabilize the prices, because they were producing so much that the prices were falling, and that's why they're trying everything to keep prices up.
And then the cows were like, well, where's the dignity in our job now? And then they stopped producing milk. That's how we got where we are.
Mm-hmm. And then instead of letting the market do its thing, the prices are artificially being modified.
They offended the cows, man.
Oh yeah.
Kinda the exact opposite of what the EU was supposed to be about.
Ah,
So what was it supposed to be about?
Free market.
What?
Well, yeah. If the price of a commodity becomes so low that you know the current manufacturing makes it too cheap, then yeah, you know, then the market should incentivize people to produce something else. If it's no longer worth it to produce milk, you make something else until supply stabilizes and prices stabilize.
Yeah. Yeah, tell that to our milk farmer that is only specialized in producing cows.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
but
let's produce something else
yes.
on the spot. Yeah, because
Yes,
that's how it works.
that's the way it works in just about every other
Have you
industry.
tried producing rabbit milk?
Well, in Venezuela.
Yes, they're going to replace all their cows and sheep with rabbits.
They've literally their new
Oh, yeah.
anti-famine
Yeah.
plan in Venezuela is everybody eat rabbits. It's
But
great.
from what I have heard, you can actually starve from eating too much rabbit. Because
course.
rabbit meat, because your body tends to spend more energy digesting rabbit meat than it gets from said rabbit meat.
I didn't think rabbit was that non-nutritious, but yeah, no, it's still just kind of funny because they are so desperately out of food. They are proposing people farm rabbits in their gardens and eat them because rabbits have such short gestation periods, breed constantly, and basically a garden farm can produce quite a few rabbits.
If you actually want to make rabbit meat viable as a food source, you have to eat them in combination with something else. And it doesn't seem like they are providing enough of an alternative,
Oh, they're not providing any alternative. The country is starving. They're all going to die.
Yeah. But, the term rabbit starvation is a thing.
Mhm. That'd be a really shitty way to go. It's like, my belly is full, but I'm starving. I don't understand why. I've eaten 12 rabbits today. What's even happening?
And the worst part is the rabbits are so cute and adorable.
Well,
Yeah, I'm here
apparently the
sitting
plan
there.
has backfired somewhat, and people are going to the rabbit shops just taking rabbits as pets, which
So-
isn't going to solve their starvation problem very well.
Quite to the contrary. Now, in addition to people, you also have to feed, rabbits.
The rabbits live off grass. It's fine. There's
Mhm.
loads of grass, right? You couldn't possibly overeat grass, could you?
Here, Wikipedia has an explanation for rabbit starvation. It's because rabbit meat is rich on protein, but has almost no fat. And apparently your body does need the fat as well, because otherwise you'll suffer protein poisoning.
Oh dear, that sounds intense.
Which is why you always need to serve rabbit meat with something else. Said fat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think they're getting that in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there's going to be a drop in population. Yeah.
I can't imagine why. Now, see, if the Europe was filling up with Venezuelan refugees right now, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, because they are Christians.
Well, because their country is actually completely falling
No.
apart.
Obviously, we can let them in because there's no war in there. It's like with Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah,
Venezuelans
there's-
don't want to murder us.
Yeah, that's the big plus. That probably has something to do with them being Christians, though.
No, you don't have to be Christian to want to, commit genocide.
You can.
You can even be Christian and promote genocide.
That's
Mhm.
true.
That's what the Crusades were all about.
Weren't they something about liberating the Holy Land?
They were also about Muslims murdering people.
Like, the Holy Land is best liberated by killing everybody who's currently residing in there.
Mm-hmm. That's usually how liberations actually work.
Yeah.
Also, that neck isn't nearly long enough. It needs to be longer.
We need to go longer.
Mm-hmm.
His face isn't Pepe enough.
Expand neck.
On it.
Expand dong. Considering you only see his face, you would not see said expanded dong.
How sad.
I don't want to see his expanded dong. I'm glad for this.
Maybe it's like a frog tongue.
God.
Oh my god.
Which
that's
would explain
God has
why.
left the conversation.
Which
I don't like this conversation. Let's talk about something else.
Hmm?
Like
Such
God?
as.
You know, God, fanboy.
So a
Yeah,
miraculous thing has happened in Ireland. Speaking of, religious oppression,
Entered the 20th century.
for thousands of hundreds of millions of decades in Ireland, everyone who goes to school has been indoctrinated into Christianity. When you reach second class in Irish school, which is about when you're 9 or 10, they do what we call the first Holy Communion, where they make you take a bunch of religion classes, and then they send you to church, and then they force feed you crackers. These crackers are representative of the body of Christ, because apparently Jesus was some kind of weird baking fetishist, and when he died, he had his corpse cremated and mixed into cookies.
He was actually bread and wine blend.
So to remember. So anyway, to remember Jesus, we eat these crackers at church, and
people do that.
You get your first special Holy Jesus cracker at your first Holy Communion, and you do a bunch of. So this is a whole ceremony in Ireland. It's like everyone gets together. They rehearse.
I mean, it usually is, but usually it's not forced on school level.
In Ireland, it is, but it's like it's horrible because it really shows class warfare as well. Because everyone goes to their christening or their first Holy Communion, and they get dressed up in sexy clothing. The girls get their like little wedding dresses, and the boys have to wear their best Sunday suits. And then you can really see which families have money, because some have silk dresses and some have hand-me-downs from 6 generations ago. That's really nice. I love it. Also, kids get money. Your uncles and aunts, and it's like, oh, here's your communion money. Go buy yourself some roller skates.
Money for Jesus, yay!
So then you have kids in school fighting over how much money they got, and
that actually sounds very American.
Oh, it's pretty Irish.
That might actually be where some of the American mannerisms
I mean, there's fighting involved, so there's a chance it's Irish, yes.
But yes. So you get all these children who can become really aware of where their family stands in the social pecking order. When you have one kid goes to school, he's like, I got €500. I'm gonna buy an Xbox, and then you're going to school. It's like, I got like 50. I think I'm gonna buy some nerds.
I can buy a potato.
Pretty much. I was like, my family's poor. I never really realized this before, but now I do.
It's a rite of passage. You used to be that you got into contact with God and ate the Jesus crackers, but now you just realize how poor you are.
Mm-hmm. But thankfully, they've declared that state schools are not going to do this anymore. And yes, this was done in state schools. This wasn't just a private school thing. This is all the schools. So state schools are no longer mandating that you get indoctrinated into religion, which is great. I think it's some of the best news I've ever heard.
Which is, fairly alien to a lot of us, actually, because for the longest time, school and religion were pretty much separate.
I think I ate Jesus cracker once. We were like, let's go to church to look at this oddity that is the church building and the insides of it.
Well, all our schools are named after saints, and they're pretty much all built next to a church.
Oh, that's a thing that happens over here. Like, I mean, in Belgium, because I know a guy in Belgium who went to such school.
Like, I went to my primary school was St. Carmel's, and it's across the road from me. It's on the estate of St. Carmel's Monastery, which is a church for the nuns. And then I've got Skull Teresa, which is the second half of my primary education, and it's directly across the road from the Fearhouse church.
To be fair, my first school was also in opposite over the road to a church, but that was mostly not because of religious reasons. That was because it's a small village. There's just not that much space. We do have 2 churches though.
Also, I'm surprised that the churches.
One for Protestant, evangelist people, and one for the crazy Catholics.
Also, I'm surprised that it's still around, given that Czech Republic was once in Soviet land. Well, it wasn't in Soviet land, but it was more or less the
So
same thing.
communists were not, at least over here, we're not 100% idiots. So even when they went after the church as an organization and were discouraging religion, they actually kept the churches as buildings around because of their historical value and artistic value.
Yeah, we
Well,
also
that was even in Communland itself. Like in the Soviet Union, they kept a lot of churches and religions. They just realized, oh, yeah, you're not supposed to practice your religion in private, in public, I mean, but in private, we don't give a shit. So.
Well, it was a fresh change from those constant Catholic versus Protestant wars. But it happened here.
Catholic
We
wars are
were
the
so
silliest.
anti-Catholic that we allied with the enemy of mankind, which was the Hungarians.
Not the Hungarians.
Ah,
That's awful. Why would you ever do that?
well, they weren't Catholic, so they
Oh,
were like,
okay, that makes
yeah,
sense.
sure, come here, free us, take Sweden with you. And they came. It kind of worked, but then Sweden had some problems and it stopped working. That was sad. Lots of people got killed.
Tends to be the way with war. Everyone just wants to. It's like, oh, we just want to have a little regime change. We just want a little alteration in the parliament. Move some pawns around a bit. And it's like, oh no, actually everyone's being murdered.
Well, then we got our own partisans with spear axes, and they were going down hills and killing people that belonged to the Catholic army until they got bored and they kind of defected, and that was the end of it. It always, in Czech lands, it always ends with those autonomous, resistance movements. It always ends with them getting bored and just giving up.
Yeah, sounds like your country is very dedicated to its wars.
Seems like it. Well, at that point, we didn't have a Czech king for some time, so maybe there was something to do with it.
Wait, there was a checking at some point?
I was checking for a lot of history articles.
Okay, cool.
I mean, from that point in time when he got a title of king, which was, 12th, 13th century, until, what was the last one? 15th or 16th? Somewhere about then.
You're aware that most European countries were built off a feudalistic system, yes?
Yes.
I mean, at one point, even Slovaks had, not a king, we had a prince, and we were not called Slovakia, we were called Nitra back then. So we were basically the principality of Nitra. But yeah, even with us Slovaks used to be somewhat independent at some point in the past.
Well, if I'm supposed to not count just kings, then we went far, far away into the past because we had all those counts.
I'm pretty sure basically every European countries.
Like if you ever heard about Great Moravia, nah, that's us.
Cool.
It has great in name articles.
Even the Netherlands used to be a monarchy. Oh, I said we're still.
That's very silly.
There really isn't a difference though. Like, yes, we have a king and shit, and the only thing you really get from it is, well, everyone, every Christmas he gets on TV and he's like, oh yeah, unity or some shit. Oh yeah, and every second Tuesday of September he gets up on his throne and he gets a piece of paper and he's like, yeah, this is the shit that our ministers wrote, I'm just gonna read it now.
Artrix, do you realize that a president can do the same thing?
Yeah, exactly, they do exactly the same thing. It's So
At least you have a mascot. Take it that way.
yeah, it's a nice little mascot. It's someone you can put on your money, and it doesn't change with every government. So it changes every
you should have,
30 years.
Like great artists or important people on the money. Like the only president that ever made it to money was the very first one who made the republic.
Mm.
So I mean, Slovaks might have it different.
Well, we
Except they have
now have-
euros now, so they are fucked.
Wait,
We're all fucked.
well, they have euros, yes, but
Although we do have variations.
yes,
Only, I never bothered to look on the other side of the euro bill to see what we have.
Vouch for its euro.
well, they're not on the euro bill. It's on the coinage.
Oh yeah.
But
Euro which has no value. Come on.
I actually have the full collection of all the like the original series from the early 2000s.
You collected all the euro coins?
Yes.
That
Well,
was
He
the
he
one.
fished them out of wishing fountains.
just the original series. So it's like
He threw the rest back.
the original 12 countries or so. So yeah.
That's not nearly that many.
Like
You need to get the rest of them.
Netherlands and the others.
No, there Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and I'm not gonna list them all, but
I think Ireland's kind of funny because most countries I think got different designs on each of their coins, and Ireland just stuck a harp on all of them.
oh yeah,
Fucking
With-
Guinness.
which was kind of funny because your original money had a lot more variation to it. You had like deer and leaves and shit, and now
But
it's
all
just
had a harp on the back.
yeah, and now they just all have a harp and nothing
No, I mean
else.
all the original money I
yes.
think had harps as well.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
had a
but
harp
on one side,
Yeah.
yes.
For
Which
some
is
reason, all of our euro coins have just buildings on them.
The bills, yes.
Bill-
They're supposed to be like gates, and they represent the openness of your.
Well, they can fuck off. We have actual people who did something with our money. Huh. Building
But I-
never did anything for anybody.
That's not true. A building once got in the way of bullets. And then the person who wasn't hit by the bullets was very happy that the building helped. This has happened numerous times. I think you're making fabrications, saying that a building never did nothing for nobody. Do you know how many brick walls have saved people's lives?
7.
At least.
It's probably a higher number than that.
Okay, okay. I'll give you a leg. 8.
No.
Probably about that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should all concede that buildings are actually pretty awesome.
I don't see to the buildings. Please don't hurt me.
They also keep the rain out.
No,
They,
not mine. Mine's leaky as fuck.
Oh,
they also keep terrain out.
Mm-hmm.
they also keep air out. Air is very evil. Did-
Well,
Did-
that doesn't sound like factual truth.
According
did-
to Trump, his concrete building
no,
is
no, 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 no.
entirely sealed to the air.
No, see, Fanboy, his building doesn't keep air out. It keeps the
Oh,
evil
the
gases
CFC's
in.
in, yeah, that's right.
Are you transitioning to a new topic?
No,
No.
Oh.
but yes. I'm
Yeah,
done
but-
with the religion thing. I was done with that a while ago. Move on to something else.
Yes.
Fanboy, you were done with it since you were in school.
I really, really fucking was. I was done with it while I was doing those classes.
Mhm.
I am not surprised.
I think I had a total of like 2 classes where the subject of religion even came up, and it was just like, yo dudes, so there's this thing called Christianity, and this thing happened, I guess. And everyone was in the class was like, confirmed. Okay.
We agree.
So
This is
what?
the thing that happened.
Yep.
Actually, I was once invited by the local priest person
Oh my.
to a confirmation, and I'm like, what is that? Why would I go there? I'm not going there.
But
it
then
was probably that sexy girl down the street that the priest wanted to introduce you to. While being distracted, he would be with the altar boys.
That makes sense. Did I
Yes.
just block the priest?
No, we didn't. So if you want to bring it up, go ahead.
Oh.
1 to 3, go.
I'm not doing anywhere. Fuck off.
Oh.
He doesn't even live here anymore.
Oh.
What
Does
we talked
does
about?
now I'm confused.
We all are.
Yes. Anyway, new topic.
Yes.
So who's
Well.
going? Oh,
Well, yes.
you go ahead.
One else want to?
I have one.
Okay, it's back because usually back is the last one to bring on this topic. So now we should go.
Except for Astra.
Except Astra, but she's in there.
Exactly.
She's
She's
probably
there's
eating fish
some-
and chips.
Exactly.
She's playing through The Legend of Zelda.
Oh God, guys, let back talk.
No!
Ah, it's okay. I'm used to it.
It's
know-
to fight for survival.
Sort of. Anyways, there's a very unimportant event on Sunday in Germany.
Oh yeah.
It's just very unimportant, not like it decides the next 4 years of the government or something.
Fate of your country.
Exactly. I mean, we pretty much kind of know what's gonna happen or who will win, but
Are you saying you are doomed?
pretty much.
Oh.
You know, Germany has two big parties. One, let's say, Social Democrats, and one, Conservatives. And ever since 2005, ever since like the most left wing of the socialist socialist party split off, they can now, have a coalition with the Conservatives. So basically, it's what happened ever since 2005, except for once for 4 years. But ever since then, we just have the big coalitions.
Doesn't
Basically,
matter.
one party has
We'll just win.
basically one party has 35%, the other one has 20-ish, and then it's enough to have a majority because no other combination is gonna work.
So
Obviously.
basically, you are going to all be stoned to death.
Yeah, we will be 99% surely stuck with Merkel.
Oh no.
Yeah,
The only difference will be that we will have most likely get over 5% for the new party, which is the alternative for Germany, which is the right-wing party.
Is Merkel
Okay.
just a party head, or is she like the elected president type thing?
No, she's
the party
the office of the president is actually a separate.
head. A different one. Yeah,
yeah.
she's the chancellor.
Though,
dear,
and
so,
also from what I gather, the president doesn't actually have a lot of power in the sense that he's basically he's basically the king of Germany.
Well, he's
So-
there to sign the stuff and
Yeah.
sometimes it's
Exactly,
So
and
it's-
do all this state representation. Meanwhile,
Yes.
Merkel is more close to like a prime minister.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So she actually gets to draft and create laws.
No, she just regurgitates the drafts that she gets from the lobbyists.
Yes. Same thing.
In other words, from ISIS.
None of them.
Oh, no. It's from those guys, Saudi Arabia.
As I
ISIS
said,
doesn't have money anymore.
But yeah, from what I gather, this election is not so much about who's going to win, because it's going to be one of the two ruling parties that have been voted into office forever.
It's gonna be Merkel's party because like the difference in all the prognosis and everything and the trends is it's like that Merkel's party is gonna still have the biggest.
Yes,
It's gonna have
but
the majority. Like,
so-
like
but-
50% over the left
yes,
ones.
but
I
that
think it
so
just
there's
reminded me of that old joke from communism. It's like when you have those questions at school about temperament and personality and shit. And one of the questions is, who's your life's idol and why is it Lenin?
that's a very legitimate and honest question. Gee whiz, thank you for asking that. But but yeah, it's not so much a battle for first place because that's pretty much set in stone. But often it's referred to as it's the battle for the third place for some reason. So it's either gonna be the alternative for Germany, which is fairly likely, or some other, or like no, not the Conservative Party. That was like an offshoot of the Conservatives, the FD or whatever.
FDP. It's
yeah.
more like no, it's not an offshoot. It's just just a party of the people with a lot of money. Basically,
yes.
They're just doing the stuff for the big companies.
And they've become a kind of a laughing stock in German politics. Like they used to be kind of a big deal, but their votes have plummeted to the point where
something like that happened here too.
Yeah, mostly because there are less and less rich people in Germany, so they kind of are losing their votes.
Why?
Yes, if you make less than 30k a year and you look at their manifesto, you're like, yeah, they don't represent my interests, to put lightly. So I'm not gonna vote for him. That's one of the reasons I will never vote VVD, which is basically our version of that party, which is like, you make less than 30k a year? Yes. Well, we don't give a shit about you, but vote for us anyway. And I'm like, no.
What a noob Artrix.
But vote for us now.
I think
please. No.
But yeah, the thing is mostly about just showing the current government that people are getting kinda upset, and that's why they are voting a party that they're actively saying you shouldn't vote it.
Wait, this is the
the alternative for Germany is like it's the new evil.
Oh.
It's trying to find anything that the politician says and are saying, oh god, what he's saying it's not proper and everything. It's like, no, they shouldn't say it. I mean, they kinda managed to do that with the Pirate Party in Germany, which they pretty much destroyed from the inside also. Or at least accelerated it, but the alternative for Germany is basically still staying strong, and I suspect they are gonna get over 5%, which would mean they would get into the parliament. And
well, that...
and FDP, as you say, the laughing stock, they might make it, they might not. But also something to watch out would be the Green Party, like the Green Party, because they might also be struggling to get 5%.
Yeah, that's all fairly close. I've seen some of the graphs, and yeah, according to one poll, the FVD would be the biggest, but only by a small margin. The other parties are pretty close too, so it's all pretty finicky.
Yeah, but there are sometimes, like for example, FDP it's known to work together with the CDU or our Conservative Party. So often it was like this in 2009. So they were like, Merkel was like, you should give the FDP some votes, so so they passed the 5%, and then we can have like the 50% for the coalition, because that's what's happened in 2009.
I don't know, that kind of sounds like controlled opposition. It's like, oh, are you upset with the way things are going? Well, vote for this party. They're
No, it was more like because their parties' two programs are closer together, just that the FDP is even more oriented for the rich people than the other ones.
Yeah, like I said, controlled opposition. So it's like,
even more rich.
So it's like, are you upset with us? This party is nothing like us, except they are. So vote for them.
No, they are like them. They are saying it. Everyone's pretty much aware of it. There are just slight differences, but yeah, for the sake of getting into the government, of course, they are going to be like, yeah, if they get in, we might get enough for it, which happened in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically, as of now, kind of almost every party can, have a coalition with every other party, because, they're just so worried about staying in power that they're just gonna cooperate with everyone except AFD.
You might actually, I hate to say this back, but you might actually end up in a similar situation as the Netherlands, where these quote-unquote uncouth parties get a lot of votes, and they're just struggling to form a coalition to avoid having to rule with this party, but it almost seems impossible.
Yeah,
because
it kind of happens here too, but usually it just kind of fails because nobody wants to have a coalition with the communists.
That something similar happened over here during the last elections, when the socialists got together with the National Socialists, Hungarian Minority Party.
GG.
All parties
It's a thing, by the way.
Yeah, all parties that essentially hated each other and kept saying how the other party is evil personified, and then they got together and formed a coalition.
Yeah.
I can't imagine very much got agreed on in that coalition.
Well, so far they are actually doing okay.
Wait, they're still in power?
Yeah, they are still in power.
Okay, that's weird.
But how did you think that Slovakia government that openly defies migrants in EU?
I guess that makes sense. Good job. I guess a party that really, really hates its own members is actually probably the only successful kind of party.
Yeah, but pretty much we kind of anticipating what's going to happen, but it's just, as I said, about showing the other parties. So if we got interesting opposition, maybe some things could happen, but I doubt it.
That's probably just gonna remain the status quo.
Yeah,
And
which
nothing
is
will
awful,
change.
because it's like, yeah.
Because something needs to change in Germany. That's for certain, and I don't think that's gonna happen.
Something is rotten in the kingdom of Germany.
Otherwise, something very bad will happen.
Is it the Germans? Is it the Germans that are rotten?
They will run out of butter, I bet.
I know. We'll just replace all the Germans with much better brown people from Middle East.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that's not even. I mean, of course, it's on the services done by the government, but of course, it's all dictated by all those huge corporations that are like, oh, let in cheap labor, because those people.
But they won't work. They refuse to work for heathens. When will they understand?
Well,
it?
not all of them.
You should stop being
There
a
are enough
heathen.
ones. There are enough ones that actually want to work, and that's enough to pressurize other people. There, like, you know, this brown person wants to work for just 2/3 of your wage.
Yeah,
So
but
either you take a pay cut or you can go.
when the remaining ones then proceed to destroy the economy, then there won't be.
Yeah, that's
anyone
details.
allowed to
Yeah,
buy.
I mean, I know.
Sekele,
I know, but the
that
thing
will
is,
be
like-
thinking long term. That's not the
Exactly.
stuff that people do lately.
No, that's not a thing that you know, managers of huge corporations do. They just think quarter by quarter, just maximizing profits. They don't really care about the long-term effects. They think like, oh,
Even though
sweet
they
cheap
are
labor.
competitive, which I find wonderful.
I think that's entirely. I think most companies do actually have at least a 5-year plan. But
Well,
a lot of the stuff
thing
has
is,
been.
this thinking isn't exclusive to companies. It's also on the political side.
Yeah.
That's the best part of that.
Sure.
Oh yeah, they want to achieve their shit within their terms, so they
I mean,
can.
after all, you know where our politicians go to retire, right? That they go into EU, into Brussels.
They get
No.
a cushy German pension.
That's yeah, but that's not true, because German politicians just go into huge companies, become
Oh.
like part of the advisory board or something.
That's also viable. Why not? I mean, here the politicians, the ex-prime minister, ex-minister of finance, that guy owned half of the country already. So
Also, yes, the successful politicians, they get cushy corporate jobs. The unsuccessful ones, those go to Brussels.
And get a nice state pension.
Well,
They're-
it depends what you define as unsuccessful, because here
Successful.
politicians usually go to jail because they are found with a box, with a wine box full of money. That
Or-
happened to 2 of them already.
Or they're found dead.
So-
It actually happened once in the 90s when we were still more of a Wild West state.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're just really mediocre.
Actually, twice. One of them blew up in their car, and the second was gunned down.
Yeah, I meant the one that was gunned down.
Oh, I was talking about, discreet assassinations, not IRA jobs.
Oh, well, we don't have IRA. We don't have anybody who does assassinations by blowing up the entire block, and boy, I have to disappoint you.
We don't have blocks.
Anymore.
Yeah, we blew them up.
Anyway, we should probably bring up another topic. Especially since the upcoming elections are still very speculative, and well, I guess we'll just have to see next.
Well, they are on Sunday, yeah.
Exactly.
What you need back is you need a new political party that's just as big as the other two, only even more stupid. And people will vote for it in droves.
Well, that's what's happening, because if you mix one stupid thing and another stupid thing, they combine into even more stupid thing, which is what we basically have right now.
Yes. Lovely coalition governments.
Fucking koala.
No, it's big coalitions. It's like, I don't know, if like the two biggest parties of your country would may have a coalition. Usually being known as the two poles of government, basically.
Yeah.
The left side and right side, basically as if the Democrats and Republicans would be kind of cooperating.
It's almost as if a first past the post system will almost inevitably lead to a two-party system.
A few decades ago, actually no, like 2 governments ago, this government failed, mind you. It was like a 5-party coalition in Ireland.
Oh my god.
Because now the 2 major parties, Fine Gael and Fine Gael, just couldn't get anywhere near enough votes to rule by themselves. So it ended up being like I can't actually remember which was the major party in it, but it was like Fine Gael and Labour and Greens and a few others all just mashed together. It was awful.
Actually, sometimes happens here, but there's a sort of rotation in our government, because sometimes every 10 years the party that's usually voted manages to piss people off enough that they stop voting it, and then another party goes up. Sometimes somebody makes a new party. I think the one managed to piss people off in just 5 years, actually. And during that, 3 governments fail. That's normal here. So the one that's current, that almost failed, but the president was like, "No, I am not letting you resign. Deal with it." They had to deal with it.
Including that animation, like a pair of pixel sunglasses drops out of the sky. And
we have our own memes with him, because he has a cane and he's very rude.
So you're saying that the cane is pixelated?
Yes.
Cool.
Pixel canes are very important.
Indeed.
And
an essential part of politics.
Yes. It needs
how
to be...
else would you point at people that you don't like? Because that's what he did with the guy who wanted to resign in the government, and the president was like, "No, just you." Because the guy refused. It was fun. Except for the people who take politics too seriously. For those, it wasn't fun.
But those people are idiots.
Well, they are the majority of voting people, unfortunately.
As I said, idiots.
Yes, yes. As I said, they vote.
If you don't vote, at least you can blame all the people who did.
That's good. That's a good idea. Yes, exactly.
It's like, it's not my fault. You voted for him. I didn't.
Or you can vote and be like, okay, I guess I'll do this again next time 4 years, and not be too bothered by it. Because in the end of the day, you're not going to be able to do much about it anyways. Except for one... Okay.
I personally personally vote for parties that have no chance of winning.
Yes,
Then
that's
I
Yep.
actually it.
That's exactly the way I go into it. I don't look at their chances of actually being able to rule, because I'd rather vote for a party that I ideologic words
Yes.
Ideologically,
agree with than to compromise and be like, oh yeah, I don't really agree with everything they stand for, but at least they're not the other party, because well, that's how you get to a party system.
to be fair,
I just vote for the guy that's the funniest. Like the guy who's like,
That too.
What's Aleppo?
to be fair, the party I voted for in the last election did at least get into the parliament, even though not into the government.
Oh yeah, same here. I
So
vote
you're
for
the
party
only
there.
fucked up-
So I vote for some dudes there they're actually in the parliament. They won't be able to do much, but they're there, and that's that's good enough for me.
I don't really understand parliamentary voting, honestly. I understand voting on particular issues, but I do not understand voting on representatives. Because, honestly, everything that the politicians say to you to get elected is a bold-faced lie. And thus, you can't trust it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's why we should be more like North Korea, because everything the leader says it's true.
Well, speaking of that, apparently there's this attempt to get a referendum going in the Netherlands to
To be
protest.
more like North Korea.
No, quite to the contrary. We want to stop the government from unnecessarily collecting a shit ton of data on its own citizens.
Go.
So
How can you be safe? Artrix, are you hiding something? I bet you are hiding something. If you
no,
weren't hiding something, you wouldn't be against this.
are you one of those? If you ain't got something to hide, then there's nothing to worry about, faggots. Because no.
Clearly you are hiding something.
Remember, there is always something to hide.
There's
Always some faggot who wants to kill you for something,
Hmm.
even if it's for what kind of eggs you eat.
or the government is people, and if someone in the government is like, I don't like this guy, I'm going to fuck with him, and they can
okay.
basically see my entire browsing history and whatnot.
And that's why I'm trying to have the worst browsing history ever.
This guy once said that kittens were cool. I hate kittens. I'm going to reject all his tax forms.
Exactly.
But those are taxes for kittens.
Even the kitten taxes. Especially the
But now he's against himself. He hates cats, so he wants to tax them, but he doesn't accept taxes from me.
But yeah, they still have a bunch of days to get the necessary votes, or not votes, signatures. And if they actually get enough, then it will be passed over to the parliamentary commission, and they will make that into an actual issue.
Like we don't want to deal with this, give it to the king.
Oh yeah, I can do that too. Tomorrow I'll just get in my car, drive down to that fucker's house, and come like, hey dude,
Hey king!
hey king, yo! He's like, hey man, what can I do for you? It's like, yeah, can you cancel this law? Thanks. Like,
Well, technically you could do that. and kings usually have the power of veto.
Yes.
I don't think ours actually does.
Then what
He's
kind
a
of
shit
king
king
is he?
then.
He's
Well, it's even the point.
well, yeah. The point is that he's just there to represent the nation as a whole and to sign laws into power and shit.
But there you go.
He can't veto.
He can go by refusing signature.
But
Exactly.
if he does, you get a constitutional crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's what you get for having a king.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the politicians are like, hey king, come here, show me your hand, and they slap him across the fingers with the constitution.
Yes. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the king's like, ow, I need those fingers to sign. Oh,
Constitution's not supposed to be a weapon. Not against me, anyway.
I'm the king, for fuck's sake. I'm the personification of this entire country. Yeah, that's
I'm
nice.
like
to
a
know.
god to you.
Except he's not.
But he is. He's the king.
Yeah, but you know why he's the king? Because
By
of
holy mandate.
no, he's
Jesus
like
Christ himself came down and put a golden crown of thorns on his head and said, "From now on, let it be known that you are the king."
Actually, no. The king of the Netherlands is the king because they're descendant of the guy that actually fought off the Spanish and shit. And ever since we decided, okay, this family is gonna be a royal family. Also something to do with French royals marrying into our royals, and it's all very convoluted.
Doesn't sound right.
Exchange the Spanish for the French. Yes, the Spanish. The
Well,
Spanish
you see what happened is, okay, so Napoleon, happened, and he installed a bunch of oh, wait a minute, it happened after the Spanish. So yeah, first we were the Spanish, and we were like, no. And then Napoleon had this little party, and we were like, ah. But then a GDFO, and then we installed our own. Then we became a republic, but then we became a monarchy again, or something like that.
You were like, I don't like this government. Next.
And that's how the Netherlands was born, or something.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I trust you completely on this.
Anyway.
Not really enough, religious intervention, though.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of religious intervention in our history. We're kind of irreligious from the start. There was this time when the entire society was basically, it was Christians versus Protestants, and it was in almost every layer of society. But other than that, no, religion doesn't really have much of a sway in Dutch history.
How do you even operate as a real country then? Like, come on.
We trade. We just built like the largest trading empire on the planet. We're too busy for religion. Well, you guys are sitting there being all like, well, our version of God, but your God, our version's got like gold and shit. But no, we were just sailing the seas and trading and building an empire.
Don't you understand? A country can't be a real country without a God. It's very important. Where do you get your morals from? How are you not all murdering each other constantly every 15 seconds?
Well, that's the thing. We figured it out, and that's how we've managed to build the largest trading empire on the planet.
They just don't know how to hide it.
Nonsense. It's impossible.
Yeah, you can't even comprehend it. No. That's how advanced we were.
As advanced as the North Korea, I bet.
Doesn't
we invented North Korea, but then they became retarded and became what they are now.
But the Artrix, they don't like Trump. They must be good guys.
That's true.
Well, yeah, obviously they're the good guys.
Best Korean.
If you like their leader.
Enough rambling.
Yes.
Did anyone else have any issues to talk about?
Well, there is, of course, the fact that October is coming in.
October's coming.
Skeleton War.
Yes.
As of the time of this recording. Now Germans have the big thing called Oktoberfest, which has a lot of beer, a lot of sausages, a lot of drindles, and so. Well, and apparently, considering how it's being overrun by, rowdy people, since 2 years ago, there's been a petition to ban Oktoberfest because it apparently offends Muslims. Each year, the petition fails, and each year they start again.
The real question is, who's doing the petitioning?
Well, apparently some people already did sign it.
Yeah, but who are the ones taking the initiative? Is it crazy people that basically want to deconstruct Germany to the point where it's no longer Germany, or is it actual Muslims that like, we came here, we see guys having this Oktoberfest, we want you to stop?
That's kind of the interesting thing. Apparently, it's signed under some name Muhammad something, but the way it is written seems like it's more of a sort of pseudonym
Muhammad
group of people.
But that name does imply that it's Muslims that are initiated the
or something.
A group of Muslims. I got you.
A group of Muslims or someone who's trying to look like a Muslim. Like we are totally speaking in the names of Muslims.
People getting offended on behalf of other people, of course.
Isn't that like blackface but Muslims? Brown face?
But more progressive.
It's like that one person who was offended at how everybody's using gifts with black people, and it turned out that it's all leftists trying to be progressive.
They're eating their own. Always eating their own. It's like, my God, you can't do this. This is offensive. But we're the people trying to not be offensive by doing that very thing. What?
That's the thing. Everything is offensive to these people. Every single thing.
Well, not everything, but basically the entire concept of the Western world is offensive to them, and it needs to change.
Alex,
Yes.
it's so advanced. Look, Alex, these poor, simple brown people can't possibly grasp the concepts of Western world.
Okay.
Obviously. That's what they are saying. It's like these laws are too complicated. They don't know it's wrong.
So we just need to change. We just need to abandon all our. We just need to abandon all our closely held beliefs and whatnot,
and become a bunch of raping and stoning savages.
You're
Except-
saying that like that's something bad.
Anyway, so some of us actually went to something that approximates an Oktoberfest when we were in Germany. So basically, it seemed to boil down to, well, yeah, you just dress up in lados and dirndls and you go into town and you drink.
I'm sorry, Artrix, you just don't seem to understand this kind of cultural phenomenon. I don't like that's the whole point. You celebrate the harvest by going out and getting pissed drunk while dressing up silly.
Yes. The thing is that when we went there, I expected there to be like this big hall where there's like hundreds of people just sitting there drinking beer. Instead, it was just
Look,
all
Artrix,
over the town.
You can't fit an entire town into one big hall.
No, you can't.
You can
But
try.
You could try, but it gets very sticky.
yes, but I expected there, and apparently these do exist in cities like Munich when there's actually the Oktoberfest. Though it's very commercial.
Of course, everything's commercial. Like you got it. Like if you see an opportunity to sell some stupid lingerie, like Lederhosen is, obviously, sexiest lingerie.
Stupid
why would
sex.
you not embrace it?
Yes.
Like
Embrace lingerie.
if you were sitting there and you had access to 100,000 sewing machines and a bag of leather, and you saw that there was all these people who were like getting really drunk and prone to making bad decisions, you should take advantage of that. It's just capitalism 101.
What's not allowed?
If there is demand for it, seize the opportunity. If there's no demand, create it.
Created. Yeah.
But yeah, though,
Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought halfway through a sentence. It was awful.
GG.
Choo-choo, motherfucker.
I think we're just gonna say that, yeah, there are people trying to get rid of it, and the reason is just to prevent people from being offended or something.
They're trying to get rid of it, but it came back in the movie.
Oh yeah, there's a new It movie.
I did not see it. I don't plan on.
And yes, it's not going to happen anytime soon because there's too much money involved.
It's also it's like, oh, let's ban this one cultural expression because this other culture that we're importing doesn't like it very much.
Hmm?
It's like, okay, but whose culture gets priority, the home country or the external country? Like that seems racist.
Because white is evil and must be killed.
Also, it doesn't go against the whole spirit of the West where we're like, hey, do you like doing a thing? Yes, well, you have the freedom to do it as long as you don't go ahead and kill other people.
Well, that's the thing. That is the biggest cultural difference between Middle Eastern and Western philosophies. Western philosophies is like everyone do whatever the hell you want and just don't interfere with other people doing it. And Middle Eastern philosophy is like, everyone do exactly what we say. If you don't, we'll chop your hands off.
Hmm? And a lot of people rightfully say, fuck off.
Yes, we don't like having our hands chopped off because we like eating pigs.
Hmm?
Not wanting to get your hands chopped off is racist.
No, it's cultural appropriation or something like that.
No, it'd be cultural appropriation if you started chopping people's hands off.
Well, that's true.
Oh, so having your hands cut off is perfectly fine, but once
As
you're...
long as the original people do it.
But if when you're doing it, then it's called, I getcha. I get things.
Chopping hands off by yourself, that's uncool.
Actually, speaking of cultural representation and things, I just remembered Netflix's Star Trek is starting to air tomorrow.
Huh? Please tell me it's not going to be anything like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I think it might be a little bit like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh my god.
Are they going to have a strange person who can sing, talk over music?
I don't know. But here's the thing about Star Trek, right? Or are you talking about Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek's always been on the forefront of diversity and this utopian worldview of we can all work together despite the differences, blah blah blah.
It has, which is why it's kind of odd that this new season of Star Trek they've been pushing the narrative of its representation a lot in the media upcoming to its launch. It seems to have a pretty... I mean, Star Trek has always been diverse. It's always had a mixed cast, and that was great, you know.
But they still have a token Russian guy.
Probably. But they never really made a point of it in the advertising, or they just let it happen. It was just, oh look, this bridge crew has made up of a Russian man, a Scottish man, a Englishman, a black woman, and
a guy with ears.
A guy with pointy ears, yes.
And a Japanese guy.
And yes, of course. World War II. So it was great. It was like, yes, all this representation on the bridge in the 1960s. It was insane, but they didn't make a big deal about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They just did it.
Yes.
But I've seen a few ads for the recent Star Trek or the one that's coming out tomorrow, and it's like, oh my god, look, it's the first racial bridge captain ever. It's like, wait, no.
Except no, there was the one in DS9.
Exactly.
Also in the movie, Sulu, who is Japanese, became captain.
Yeah, which is hilarious, because now they're like, oh look, this is a first for Star Trek. I was like, no, it's not. Voyager was captained by Janeway. I don't know if you have eyes, but Janeway is female.
Very much so.
Maybe she was gender fluid, I don't know, but she appeared to me, to my eyes, she seemed to be a lady. And Cisco on the Deep Space. Okay, he wasn't on a starship, so maybe.
Space station.
I mean, okay, that's kind of being a bit pedantic, but he got 10 seasons. Nobody seemed all that upset. he was rather black. And they were talking about, the first racial representation on the bridge crew. I was like, wait, no. I think if you look back to the 1960s version, where you have this black lady in the 1960s on the bridge of a what was the equivalent of a Royal Navy vessel. So making a big deal out of racial representation in Star Trek today is the most insane thing I've ever heard, and it really annoys me.
Well, it is a trend to basically try to rewrite history and say, look, this thing we're doing is so progressive, it's never been done before. And then you just have to point to the previous iterations of and say, this has always been the way.
I mean,
that wasn't a real thing.
Oh, it wasn't just like that new Powerpuff girl wasn't a real thing, right?
You've seen that thing?
I think we talked about it in the last episode, but yeah.
Yeah, but the episode was since released.
Oh,
my.
Did you actually watch it?
No.
I tried to watch.
I tried to watch it very hard, but the eyes, they were just closing.
But from the stuff I was able to gather, okay, do you want a fucking plot summary?
Sure. I don't think any one of us is.
To lose but our chance.
Okay, so basically, the girls one day found out that there is another Powerpuff girl. That the professor created her before then, that she basically was like some earlier experiment.
Okay, already it sounds great.
Yeah, and apparently she was an earlier experiment by the professor, but at least he thought that she died because one day she exploded. Only that she didn't explode, she just couldn't control her powers, so she went into hiding.
Sounds like a successful experiment.
Also kind. That sounds kind of Mary Sue-y.
No,
Yeah.
Artrix, no.
Very sweet. They essentially imply, they directly, but they basically imply that the Powerpuff Girls, the main three ones,
Yes.
are whitewashing her. Because the first Powerpuff Girl was black, but now these three white girls took her credit.
Did she explode because she couldn't handle all that black empowerment?
It doesn't even make sense.
That's an interesting point of view.
But
was Powerpuffs.
the entire plot of the creation of the Powerpuff Girls, their origin story, if you will, is that it was a complete and utter fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He was trying to make the perfect little girl. And then he accidentally spilled in a giant fuck ton of magical fuck juice.
Which
called
made them all fucked up.
Yes. Like, they were a horrible, horrible experiment gone wrong. So how could there possibly have been one before that?
Obviously, he did the same experiment, but instead of chemical eggs, he spilled some chicken and watermelon into it.
It raises more questions than it solves. Because it's like, so girls, I created another Powerpuff Girl in the past, but I thought she was dead, and then
never mentioned her.
That never meant I never, it's very, tightly woven into your origin story, and something that you might be interested in, but it slipped my mind. It never occurred to me to bring it up. You're sitting at the dinner table having a conversation like, girls, there was this other thing I created. This one that never occurred to me. Never ever. You were the first one.
Cadence and Princess Armor all over again.
Exactly.
Only worse.
Yeah, a lot worse. Because it's got a pretty significant impact on the origin of the character. Of course, the children this show is aimed at don't really care, but it's still...
Oh, sure, it's aimed at children though, because the way they're writing.
Is it?
Look, it's aimed to brainwash the next generation to liberal ideology.
That sounds good.
Makes me want to wipe out the next generation.
But this is actually working because
Kids see through this stuff.
yeah.
Sekele, if you join our glorious leader, you can wipe out this generation.
That would be nice.
Well, honestly, most of the kids who the show is actually aimed at don't really on board a lot of things that are. They won't even realize there's a political message.
Mhm.
She's purple.
They just look at it and like, what ifs.
I mean, the actual target demographic is like 5 to 10-year-olds.
Mhm.
So
Well, they might actually just become utterly bored by it because it's trying. Because you have to realize the original Powerpuff Girls, its premise was very straightforward. It's like, what would be.
Beat him up.
Yeah, what would be funny if we take these adorable little girls, girls are, little girls are adorable and cute, and they beat the shit out of everything with senseless violence.
and they kind of at the time they really did pound on the general gender norms of the time. I don't think the new show actually does that nearly as well. In fact, I think it's sort of regressive in what it's trying to do. It's expressed intent.
They're not really fighting anything as far as I know.
They do fight in this episode. I mean,
they also twerk.
They're fighting the episode. They don't want it to exist.
In this episode of the Powerpuff Girls, they fight the villain, which is the episode itself. And they're just standing there on screen. They're like, well, we're in the episode, but we're supposed to fight the episode. So...
Look, the greatest episode of Powerpuff Girls is the one where the girls have to solve a whole bunch of stupid riddles that him has made.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a whole... Like, he set up a huge amount of challenges, and they're getting very, very stressed out, and they think they're failing, they think the professor's gonna die, and then they finally find the professor, and him is like, it's too late. He's going to
get it. Yeah, he's going to get it, and he has to pay like
and
a
he
buck.
gives him the bill for his dinner.
Yes.
Because they were at a restaurant and they're having dinner, and him made a bet that if the Powerpuff Girls couldn't solve all his riddles in time, the professor would have to pay for dinner.
And the original show was full of that sort of shit, and that seems to be completely absent in the new show.
Also, him was actually a transvestite.
Yes.
And they never really brought it up. It was just he just was.
Yes.
He was also Satan, so some people kind of thought that was.
That's actually kind of hilarious. The personification of pure evil and these like flamboyantly gay.
Are you saying people can't have different sides to their personality?
No, you're either gay or you're not. That's your entire personality. So that's why I'm going to propose that from now on, we have our ID cards and it says gay, yes or no. It's a binary. It's either yes or
like
no.
Artrix, you don't even have to say gay because everybody knows what we're talking about, since it's the only defining character trait. So the cards have just yes or no on them.
So yeah, that will just summarize your entire personality.
Yes.
Which will make employment so much easier. It's like, okay, let me see your ID, and it's like, yes. No, I'm sorry, we can't hire you. I don't think you're going to jive with our corporate environment. It's just not gonna work. I'm sorry. But discrimination, no, it's not gonna work. If I hired you, you would just be miserable.
You can't work here. This company is simply not progressive. We're not compatible with your values. Oh God, that would be kind of awful and great at the same time if companies started refusing to hire people on based on their social justice Facebook posts.
That-
They already kind of do.
Yeah, because there was this one admittedly very conservative company that had like a little test for their prospective employees. So you try and get a job, and they give you like this test. You're like, okay, fill out this test, and that questions like basically something like, do you like America, and that sort of stuff.
Do you like deep fried America?
Do you like it deep fried or just cooked a little bit or boiled? I personally enjoy my America boiled.
No.
No?
Deep fried. It's got to be. If it's not in the deep fryer, it's not America.
Yeah.
No, I like it medium rare, like my steak.
Nah, that's not as bad.
Yes.
As one fucking boiled. Jesus, what even are you? I'm offended that you would even say that. Boiled?
In oil. But that's deep fried.
That's deep frying, bro.
Yes.
I am seriously offended by you right now.
Haggis is boiled.
Okay, well, let's see. I'll draw it right now. So here's your I am offended card.
I don't know if I can trust you in anything ever again.
You can exchange these for other offenses at your at the official offense store at offense.org. All right. We have about 10 minutes on the clock, so I guess we can bring one more topic before we end this episode.
I haven't even finished the whole Powerpuff Girls thing.
Oh, there you go.
So basically, just to briefly sum up the plot, they then hang out with this old Powerpuff Girl. They are buddies, but she has problems controlling her powers.
All right.
Turns out that actually she is being controlled by him. So they fight. They somehow manage to knock him out of her. Giant monster. Then the four of them fuse into a giant Powerpuff Girl.
Yes.
And they fight him. They defeat him, and then Powerpuff Girl goes to a different planet.
Oh
my god.
Yay.
Exactly like that.
So in other words, she's not even a permanent member of the show. It's just
They literally poochied her.
Exactly.
I must go. Other planets need me.
Yeah, she goes to a different planet so she can train to better use her powers.
But
Yeah,
obviously
because
she's the best. So not just Earth, more planets need her because she's the best. Whatever are they going to do without her?
Poochie died on the way home to his home planet.
Also, apparently the new Powerpuff Girl has got like hips and shit, which is just terrifying. It gives a terrifying vision in what these girls.
Are you saying that 5-year-old girls can't be sexy?
No, what I'm saying is that given the shape of their bodies, it's gonna look terrifying once they grow up to be adults. Because it kind of works as cute little girls, but it becomes just really batshit crazy. Did you guys ever see that episode where they envisioned their futures?
Yeah.
And they too were like these handless, feetless things.
They actually looked like Bratz dolls, only with even less detail.
Yes. To be fair, that episode was kind of taking the piss. So they were kind of just running with it. They weren't really serious about it. But this new Puff Girl seems to unironically sport these features, and it just looks weird.
Artrix, why would they add humor to their show? Why would they do that?
We live in a
Joke.
society.
Yes, obviously you should stop using fun as the main criterion when rating serials.
That's very true. Fun has been outlawed. You're not allowed to have fun anymore.
Oh yeah, wasn't someone talking about schools banning Friends?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a topic I want to bring up.
Schools in USA and UK are now banning children from having friends because it discriminates the socially less skilled children.
Oh, fuck, that's amazing. Everybody can be a shut-in autist like I am.
Like, as a genuinely socially crippled person who was really shit in school at that sort of thing, I have to say, that's got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
Well, talk about
Fanboy, don't you feel discriminated?
We'll talk about dragging people down.
Even less discriminated now around it.
I'll talk about dragging people to the lowest common denominator, which is, well, being said to be really, really fucking low.
It's retarded. It's actually communist. It's because everyone can't be at the top. You must drag everyone down to the bottom.
No, yeah,
we were allowed friends in communism. Just they, it will be better if they weren't like in the intelligence and religion. Just working friends. It would be better. Yes.
It's really, really bad. Everything is so bad. Why is everything getting so bad? Why are people even proposing these kind of ideas? What has the world come to? What's happening?
Liberals, my friend, liberals.
And I think that the worst part might be that the Transformers series is still going on.
Wait, they're making more Transformer movies?
Well,
Yeah.
they made a movie this year.
Did they? This year?
Yes, it was in like 7D and what was its name?
Wait, was that the one where Optimus Prime rode a dinosaur robot, or is there another one?
I'm pretty sure it had a Merlin and Saxons and
Oh god, I haven't seen this.
it came out this summer. It's called The Last Night.
Oh. No,
It has Transformers in it and they are nice.
I'm scared.
It is apparently it's so bad that it got like 18% on Rotten Tomatoes or 16.
Speaking of
Apparently still make enough money to make a new movie.
Speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, there was also the story involving them, right? And piracy.
No, yeah, there were two stories, but they are kind of related.
Yeah.
So, as you might know, piracy is like digital piracy is the scourge of every media ever conceived.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't download a car, right?
Yes, except not because there's actually a study that people forget to mention that says that actually no, piracy doesn't have any perceivable impact on media except for movies in theaters. Apparently those are cut down by like 40%. What is it? That for every 10 movies, 4 of them are not bought, they are downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Which is beautiful. It surely is not because movies are very expensive, be shit. Like the summer blockbusters that are infallibly coming out every year in the established series are complete shit. And are usually like Michael Bay style. There are explosions and they are in 3D, 4D maybe. They're going to throw some fire at you in the cinema. Oh, and what happened then was somebody read an article, and it was actually an article that had some common sense in it, because it asked, is Rotten Tomatoes killing the movie industry? And it answered, no, bad movies are. Because it seems that the people in Hollywood and other places that make movies, which is also Hollywood, apparently the producers and that are living in a world in which Rotten Tomatoes are the reason why everything is doing badly. Right? Because somebody gives 18% to a movie, and then it gets on Rotten Tomatoes, and then it's 18% forever, and then the movie has no chance.
Pretty sure the movies that get 18% are pretty bad Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
That might be part of the issue.
You have to be a pretty shitty movie to get low ratings like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if your movie's like just kind of mediocre, that's enough to get like a half decent rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I've always thought it strange. comedies always get really low ratings. Even, just in general, comedies do not do well.
Even if they don't
critics.
contain Adam Sandler.
Yeah, even if they don't have Adam Sandler. I know, it's crazy.
Mhm.
It's just comedies in general are poorly rated.
Are you talking about like audience rating or critic rating?
Critic rating.
Yes, there you
Oh.
go. Because you
Oh.
see,
Critics and audience, they don't play well together.
yes, because the critics gonna be like, oh, you see, this movie is not tackling the serious issue that we as a society face. It's not using the medium to its full effect, and therefore the movie does not have the artistic merit that is worthy of the cinematic framework of this particular artwork. And then the audience is like, lol, that was a funny movie.
I laughed.
I loved. I went to the cinema to be entertained. I was entertained.
That's the
I
thing
had
about
fun.
comedies. Comedies are usually the best place to go for straightforward, in-your-face critique of modern society.
Mhm.
It's where people can say things that you're not allowed to say everywhere else. Take any Mel Brooks movie, like Blazing Saddles. Good God, the sheriff.
Well, fanboy, but those are like movies from the 60s, 70s. They would not be allowed these days.
Uh-huh.
In fact, Mel Brooks basically said that recently in an interview. He said you could not make Blazing Saddles today. You could not make The Producers today.
Which is crazy. That someone even utters those words. You'd think that as society we've progressed. But no.
we're going backwards.
You're not. Apparently, you're not allowed to make this kind of movies anymore.
Artrix, you should stop using progress as the ultimate rating of human civilization.
Well, why do you think I use the word progressive so often? Because it's kind of where we're heading.
We're getting backwards.
We are progressing in an alternative direction.
Yes. You know,
I love today. Today
It's
is
also-
great.
it's also terrifying. Anyway, on that note, we should probably end today's episode. That's
And
self-censored. Let's end today. I'm just going to
today-
delete.
Wait, I forgot to say nigger.
Oh,
Nigger.
oh
I
yeah.
was even talking about Mel Brooks.
Nigga.
Yes.
There was also that thing with PewDiePie, and then he said,
Such a terrible word. He said the
Yes.
sheriff is a nigger. He was talking about Mel Brooks' movie Blazing Saddles.
and then the progressive media got all upset about it because
And then he did the worst possible. It's this unknown
Oh, yeah.
Swedish game that nobody knows. He did the worst possible thing he could, and he apologized.
yes,
And then there was an article. He apologized. Therefore, he knows he did bad.
but he's really doubling down on it, and yeah.
Because the reason PewDiePie can say a word like nigger so easily, when he's playing a video game, is because he lives in a different world. He lives on 4chan, where those words don't have any meaning at all.
Well, that's
that's
the thing with the internet and the fucking normies going on the internet.
But that's
Internet
that's
is
the
a
thing.
magical place where you don't need to be black to be called nigger. Where you don't need to be gay to be called a faggot and actually be a faggot.
That's the thing about the whole PewDiePie thing. They're claiming that he offended a lot of people, but no one's. Yeah.
His audience didn't care.
I
His
think
audience
he offended all those slaves, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Those poor black people who are still bearing the marks of the chains of the plantation owner.
Uh-huh.
Still have cotton under their nails so they can't get it out.
I think those people
Oh,
are
yeah.
all dead. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure the last living slave probably died sometime in the probably the early 1900s.
And stop using their words. Stop using the word slave. That comes from the word Slav, which I am. You are oppressing me. The entire fucking world owes me reparation for using that word. That's our word.
That couldn't be possible because everyone knows the only place that had slaves in the world is America.
Let's see. I've got you can have a SATA cable. Is that enough?
Well, if I get a SATA cable from everybody on the planet, that could be sold for so much.
Yeah, but
It's a start, Artrix,
but
it's a start.
okay, Xaverius, you can have it.
Now give me a sandwich in your house.
You can have it, but you have to pay him for shipping and handling. And all and that's like and that's 300 euros.
You can apply capitalism to reparations.
No, I'm doing it. It's take it or leave it. You can have to set a cable with 300 euro shipping and handling, or you don't. It's all up to you. So what's it gonna be?
Just give me a house. You can.
No. Fuck that noise. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for watching this highly retarded episode of Radio Rothingham. That was offensive too. Too fucking bad crime
it was intelligent in different direction, bit tolerant.
Yes, whatever. So yeah, thank you for watching. There might actually not be an episode next week, but I'm sure there's gonna be one the week after. So yeah.
1 week there's going to be an episode.
So yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, okay. Hold your breath. While we wait, do it.
For 2 weeks.
2 weeks now.
That would be quite a while to hold your breath for.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should try.
Okay. So bye.